Hey guys, I'm Dobby.
And it's my birthday.
And welcome back to Inside the Pylon. So before we get into the episode, we wanted to give two big birthday shout-outs. One to the person who's sitting right next to me. Today is Matthew's birthday. And tomorrow, when this video does drop, the man that made all of this possible pretty much at this point, set up our whole studio first and everything. My father, it's his birthday, so happy birthday, Dad. Big shout out to you.
Happy birthday, Casey.
You're
Big
so much better than your
baby.
son. You're so much better than your son in every way. I wish he could be more like you, but he can't, unfortunately, because he'll never achieve your greatness. Thank you for everything you do for this family.
If you don't know Casey by now, you will find out about him a little more when he appears on the updated report, the first episode, dropping next week, by the way. Check that out. Now, let's get into the show. So, obviously, this week, oh man, free agency started. Tampering period was Monday. Officially started on Wednesday. People were able to sign and so forth. And it just went crazy at this point. I gotta admit, before we even get into the show, I was completely wrong. If you've watched last episode, if you haven't, go tune back into that because we made our predictions on what free agency was gonna go like.
He did real bad with the Patriots.
Oh, I was so bad. No, like it was literally the worst thing that could have possibly happened because everything I said the Patriots would do, they did the exact opposite. But it was really weird, and I'll get more into that and how I personally felt about their moves later on. But let's just go ahead and go back and talk about all the moves from this week so far, starting from the quarterback and running back positions. So you will see those on screen. Obviously, the big ones, Dak, we already know this before it even started. He re-signed with the Cowboys, 4 years, $60 million. Brissett ends up going to the, $160 million. Brissett going to the Dolphins 1 year, $8 million.
How you like that?
I like it from a backup standpoint because that's all he's coming in there to do. You know what I mean? He's been a solid player throughout his career. He's got like a 25-10 interception ratio or somewhere along those lines. Not a bad move. Fitz, I know you hated this one because it meant
I didn't like it. I didn't hate it. I just didn't like that Alex was gone. But Fitz coming in.
That's right. Kick him out the door. Get out of here, Alex.
Fitz coming into Washington, especially they picked up Curtis Samuel too. They're going to be explosive.
Oh, yeah. No,
They're going to be airing it out.
Curtis Samuel was one of my favorite moves of free agency so far.
Too.
And the last really big name, obviously, Jameis Winston, 1 year, $5 million. Do keep in mind, we are recording this on Friday morning, so we don't have everything up to Saturday morning, but these are the moves that have happened so far. So switching over to the running back position, the really big ones there, Aaron Jones.
Like that.
Right before free agency started, 4 year, $48 million. Mark Ingram heading over to the Texans on a cheap deal. this one's kind of surprising. Marlon Mack. Who was a 1,000-yard rusher for the Colts, obviously injured last year. Jonathan Taylor kind of took his spot, but re-signed for 1 year and only $2 million with the Colts. That was a little bit surprising, I'd say, at least.
There might be some underlying things there. Maybe they don't.
The injury itself might be that,
They're just like, for them, it's a good deal. For him personally, not really, but.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But then Malcolm Brown signing with the Dolphins. I like that one. That was a steal. And obviously, there was a ton of other running backs that got signed to really cheap deals. Like, I think Lamar Miller's heading back to Washington, et cetera.
Kenyon Drake, too.
Kenyon Drake. Where did he end up? I think it was it the Raiders?
Yes.
The Raiders. That's right. He ended up with the Raiders this week, which is interesting. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's different.
But let's move over now to the wide receivers. Now we have the wide receivers and tight ends displayed on screen for you here. Corey Davis, 3 year, $37 million with the Jets. Thoughts on that?
I don't know how I feel about it. Half of me wants to like it. The other half of me doesn't. I guess we'll just have to see. What about you?
I think he's hit his ceiling. I don't think it's a bad deal. $13 million for a receiver like Corey Davis is right around that range. The other deals we see, Curtis Samuel, he was also in that ballpark.
I love that.
Oh yeah, no, that was one of the best signings. I think he hasn't hit his peak yet, and he's such a versatile player.
Literally,
great signing for them.
Right behind Tyreek Hill in speed. You literally have a speed demon.
Mm-hmm. In addition, another move I really liked, Emmanuel Sanders, 1 year. You called it last week, but again, he was not among my top 5 receivers.
I love this, especially where he goes with the weapons. You got Diggs and Sanders to worry about.
I just want to see how Sanders recovers. The one I actually kind of like more, and people would be like, oh, he's washed, et cetera, et cetera. I like A.J. Green to the Cardinals. 1 year, $8 million.
Said that last week, too.
I really do like that, man.
And then I like the Will Fuller to the Finns as well. How do you personally feel about that?
I love it because of how much they paid and the fact that it's only a 1 year deal. It's kind of like a prove it thing. Yep. Had they signed him for maybe 3 years, I would have felt a different way about it.
I like the 1 year deal.
And then the moves, again, I'll get into the Patriots and how I felt about their moves later, but Aguilar and Bourne signed up 2 pretty big deals. They both got paid around the same money as Corey Davis, more than Curtis Samuel.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. Not one bit.
I liked Aguilar
Aguilar was decent, but he's been very bad for his career. He's been his whole career.
Did you not see last year?
I saw last year, but it was, again, he didn't have a ton of receptions. He had a huge amount of yards per catch and stuff like that. But as far as that goes, does that really compensate for the prior 4 years? No, not that much.
I like that he's going to New England. It helps Cam out.
Yeah, and the big one this morning that happened literally minutes before we started filming here, Juju Smith re-signing 1 year, $8 million deal with the Steelers. I do like that. Some Steelers fans we have, in our audience today, not very big fan of that deal. They kind of don't like Juju, but aside from that, I think it's a great deal. So heading over to tight ends, obviously the two biggest on the market both went to the same team.
The best two literally went to the same team.
Mm-hmm.
Patriots, we'll get more into it here in a second on how they did in free agency and our takes, but these two picks right here are really good in my eyes.
These were my favorite move that the Patriots made. I just maybe don't like the fact that they did it with two tight ends and paid them both huge contracts, but nonetheless, they were the best two tight ends in the market. Great players all around.
A lot of money.
Aside from that, Gronk is back with the Bucs for $10 million. Jared Cook is now with the Chargers, and Gerald Everett with Seattle. So now let's kick it over and switch it up to the O-line, and we'll go through the whole entire O-line here. And there's a ton of deals, and maybe the biggest deal in free agency besides Dak, Trent Williams.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about this one was, I thought Trent Williams was like 35, 36. No, he's only 32. And he got this huge deal.
6 years.
But deserves it. He's one of the best.
But that's crazy, give it that much money, and then that old dude in his 6th year. His contract probably has some clauses where
not even clauses, but the guarantee money will eventually run out on that, and they'll cut him and be free of all that. But yeah, it was just crazy to see he got that big of a deal. Joe Tooney to you Chiefs. I like that move a lot.
I loved it. I loved that.
5-year, $80 million deal. And very good pickup.
Kyle Long coming out of retirement, signing with the Chiefs too.
Cheap deal.
1 year, $5 million. Yeah,
like
that. I love it. Gotta rebuild the line, and they're slowly doing it.
Yeah, Corey Linsley with the Chargers, 5 years, $62 million deal. Best center on the market, all-pro potential every single year. Very good. Darrell Williams also at the tackle position, going 3 years, $24 million with the Bills. Kevin Zeitler to the Ravens for a nice little 3 year, $22 million deal. He's older, a lot older, coming over from the Giants. Obviously, Kyle Long and Alex Smack with David Andrews returning to the Patriots, which not a lot of people really expected.
I didn't see that either, honestly.
Yeah, so let's kick it over to the defensive side of the ball now. And this is where things get really interesting as far as that goes, because we had some top DNs. Trey Hendrickson, snubbed from the Pro Bowl last year. He had 12.5, 13.5 sacks.
Man's a beast.
He's a beast, and he got one of the better deals as far as just straight defensive ends and edge rushers go. 4 year, $60 million deal with the Bengals. Great move.
Yeah.
One of my favorites of free agency. Thought it was a steal. Yannick Ngakoue, 2 year, $26 million with the Raiders. I'd like to see him revitalize his career. It's one of those things that, between getting traded to the Vikings and then traded over to the Ravens, it was just a really bad year last year, and we had these huge contract disputes.
Yeah.
But he still ends up with a really good deal for 2 years, and now has a chance to prove himself again.
Exactly.
Leonard Williams with maybe the biggest deal as far as any edge rusher is concerned. 3 years, $63 million, $21 million a season is what he's getting.
6 years or 4 years?
It's three. It's three.
3
years. Yeah, no, sorry, I might have wrote that wrong, but yeah, $21 million a season, huge, biggest contract as far as the ends go. Deserves it because he was franchise tag. They worked that out. Carl Lawson is another one. 3 years, $45 million going over to the Jets. That's one of my favorite moves, maybe my favorite of the entire free agency so far. He's a beast.
Okay.
He's not talked about enough because he's played on a really bad Bengals team, but I'm telling you right now, Carl Lawson, he's legit.
No, I know, yeah, but all right, that's cool.
But the Jets really making some nice little moves here. You can see, man. Romeo Okwara, Lions, 3 years, $39 million to end off the DNs. And then this is definitely the biggest of the entire show that we talk about. These deals that the linebackers had, and whew.
Me and Colin were both wrong on this too. The whole time we
From
were
what
saying,
aspect? Oh, Shaq Barrett?
Yeah, Barrett. We never saw
missed
him.
that.
Yeah.
I just don't understand where the Bucs got all this money from. They turned
Tom
off salary cap.
Brady, yeah.
No, they turned it off like Madden franchise. They turned it off. What the hell is that?
That's crazy. They got to bring back David and Barrett.
David,
crazy.
2 years, $25 million before free agency, and then Barrett first day in 4 years, $72 million. How'd you do that?
Right.
Just silly to me. And then, but here's the thing, and I've said this multiple times, at least to you off camera, that aside from Shaq Barrett and Levante David, I didn't like any of these deals for most of these linebackers. There's a couple I like, but Bud Dupree, 5 years, $82 million.
I liked what he did, but $82 million. That's the only thing. I like on the contract 5-year, but $82 million.
It's overpay because what I was saying and what I've been thinking about is, at this point, you're not paying for production. You're paying for promise. You're paying for that promise and the potential overproduction.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't do that as an NFL franchise because it's such a mystery with players like these.
It's a lot of money, man.
Don't get me wrong, he's a good player, but on a defense that was dominated by maybe Minka and T.J. Watt, it's an overpay, and I feel the same way about Matt Judon. Going to the Patriots, I didn't like it. It's just too much money, you know what I mean? But that's what the market demands for these guys. Leonard Floyd might be the most egregious, 4 years, $64 million.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff there. I mean, I didn't expect that. And on top of that, they've been so far into the cap. Where did they get this money from to re-sign him? I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of it. And the Dolphins are just kind of being stagnant. Don't get me wrong, they signed Will Fuller, but let's keep it band here. Go get me someone big. I want a big money guy.
Van Noy going back to the Pats.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
I mean, and they got him for a steal at that point.
We talked about it last week, Matt Milano with the Bills.
4 year,
I really like that.
But here's the one move I did really like as far as linebackers. Hassan Reddick, 1 year, $8 million deal to go over to the Panthers. Took a flyer. This is a great move for both sides. Because on the Reddick side, you probably weren't going to get that big deal because you only have 1 year's worth of production. And then the Panther side, you're not paying for more than 1 year. You're not paying that much, nearly as close to what you paid for the rest of the market as linebackers are concerned.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's no loser in this situation unless Hassan Reddick flops this year and he doesn't get re-signed next year.
But it's all on him, It's
all on him, exactly. Leave it up to yourself. Put money on yourself. Invest.
Exactly. If you're investing in something, invest in yourself.
Yep. So to close out, the recap as far as that goes, cornerbacks and safeties at this point. William Jackson. Again, this is another guy. I love this move. He's not talked about enough as a top 5 corner possibly in this league.
No, he's... Yeah.
And the Washington football team steals him.
Dude,
steals him.
Washington football team's making some moves, dude. I think they're going to be a real dangerous team next year. And
they will be.
Come.
They will be if they build it right and they get themselves a quarterback.
And it seems like they're doing it.
They need to get themselves a quarterback.
They do.
Yep. Shaq Griffin, also 3 years, $44 million heading over to the Jaguars. They made a couple signings that were decent this year. That one was
Nothing too crazy.
That was one that was iffy to me, but I mean, Shaq Griffin maybe deserves that type of money. Pat Pete to the Vikings, love this deal.
Yep.
But Ronald Darby, 3 years, $30 million to the Broncos.
Yeah.
I'm not with that one.
I'm not with it either.
That's an overpay for a guy who's been very average for the entirety of his career. Aside from that, going to safety, John Johnson, 3 year, $33 million with the Browns. Great deal there. Good deal. Good deal, no lie. And then Rayshawn Jenkins, my boy from the U. That's right, he finally got paid coming over from the Chargers to the Jags. That was a great signing. 4 year, $35 million. He's one of those players that's very underrated. You won't hear about him a lot until he makes a name for himself, which he will. But a very good player, stepped in for Derwin James a lot because of his injuries. Yeah. And then Jalen Mills, again, with these Pats deals, paying him...
I actually like this one.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
It's not bad. $24 million, 4 years.
I just don't like that one, man. I don't like it at all. Because what has he done, dude? Jalen Mills, you know what I mean? He's been a really bad player in a really bad Eagles defense these past couple of years, man.
I wouldn't go that far. I think that's more of a
No, I think I'd go there because they've been very bad.
No, the Eagles, yes, but I mean...
Mills,
I think he was what was actually trying to hold them together,
a little bit. Some of the smaller moves, though, we didn't talk about defensive tackle. Dalvin Tomlinson to the Vikings.
Yep.
He's the biggest that was on the market, you know what I mean? But beyond that, Kyle Juszczyk got paid. How vital he is to the 49ers offense can't be understated.
They're trying to get rid of fullbacks in the NFL, and he's saying no.
Yeah.
You're not getting rid of me. I can do it all. I can hit people in the mouth. I can run the ball. I can go catch a wheel 80 yards down the field. Buddy is insane. Great hybrid player. Does so much for their offense.
I love Juszczyk so much.
They even put him out in slot. Literally, you got to always have a good guy on him. And he's a mismatch for a lot of defenders, too.
Yeah. I think the best D-tackle on the market, too, just got cut this morning. Geno Atkins now cut from the Bengals. He hit the market. Oh, yeah. You didn't hear about that one, huh? Yeah, I wrote that one in because, he got cut.
Damn, I didn't know that.
I love Geno Atkins.
Yeah, he's a beast. Kind of like what we were saying with, Sue, he's a type of player that you're going to have to double almost every time or you're going to, mess up.
So, aside from that, we'll display on the screen now the best remaining free agents. Obviously, Kenny Galladay's on the market.
Yeah, that's in one of my worst moves is he's not signed yet.
Crazy, isn't it? Aside from that, Anthony Harris, biggest safety, still on the market. Melvin Ingram, kind of a veteran pass rusher, outside linebacker, 3-4 scheme type of guy. Yeah. Very good player, still on the market. Richard Sherman, I'm just going to say this now. I didn't expect Richard Sherman to get signed immediately at all. It just wasn't something I saw. So he's not
going to get a big deal either. I see it being something similar to like what Pat Pete got 1 year around like 7 to 10 mil.
Maybe a contender if he wants it that way. And then obviously Clowney. There's so many reasons why his production's been terrible. His personality rubs teams the wrong way. It's just there's so many reasons why he's still on the market. He will get signed. I just don't think he'll get nearly what he could have gotten paid a couple years ago.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Other than that, biggest trade I think so far is the start of free agency. Rodney Hudson to the Cardinals. Yeah. For your third round pick, that was a steal. That might be one of the top 3 centers in the league, and the Cardinals just added it to a team. Now the Cardinals are looking really nice going forward. So let's give our thoughts on these moves. I'll just go ahead and start us off here. My favorite moves so far, I would definitely say the Patriots tight ends. Again, I'll talk about because in my worst moves at the same time, because we might as well just go ahead and do that now, give our both. Yeah. One of my worst moves was all these Patriots signings. I didn't like Judon. I didn't like how they overpaid for Godchow. Dietrich Wise, they gave like a 3-year, $30 million deal, maybe 4 years actually. But there's all these moves that you just don't see the Patriots being big spenders. And they pretty much threw away all their cap for guys who were really average to maybe slightly above, like Judon and so forth. I wasn't a fan of any of these moves, but I really liked the tight end moves. The tight ends were big players.
With you, though. I think the Patriots, they did overpay for some players, but I can see the Patriots being a contender this year with all these moves.
No. Okay. I'll just dead that in the water. They're not a contender. The Dolphins are a better team at this point. The Bills are easily a better team at this point. You're talking about they'll maybe finish third in their division if they're lucky. The Jets might even look better than them at this point.
You think the Dolphins are going to do better than the Patriots this year?
I guarantee it. I can put that down right now. Guarantee it. The Dolphins will do better. How much? I can't tell you a game differential. That's just stupid to say, but I guarantee the Dolphins will finish with a better record next year than the Patriots. You guys can look back on this video a year from now and see. I'm going to put it down.
Put money on it?
No, I ain't putting money on it. I ain't got money to put on it, but I'm guaranteeing the Dolphins finish with a better record than the Patriots.
We'll see.
I don't like their moves. I don't.
I think they're going to be up there, man.
Other than that, like we talked about earlier, I loved William Jackson.
Me too.
That was a fantastic signing. Malcolm Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, Carl Lawson. And then I loved every single Buck re-sign.
Me too.
It was fantastic. But, again, when it comes down to the worst moves, I said it earlier, every linebacker that got signed besides Barrett, maybe even Hassan Reddick, other than those guys, didn't like any of those signings.
My favorite was, like you said, William Jackson, Emmanuel Sanders, all the Bucs re-signings. I also really liked Curtis Samuel to the Washington football team, Will Fuller to Miami, and then Tooney and Long coming to Kansas City.
That was nice. That was a good move, but I feel like they still didn't replace their tackles if they lost.
Well, they got one, Kyle Long.
He's a guard.
Oh, he's a tackle.
He's a guard.
Are you sure?
100% he's a guard.
So they got 2 guards.
They got 2 guards. And I think they also signed a center. I can't remember who it was, but they also signed a center.
You sure he's a guard?
100% he's a guard. He's always been a guard.
Huh. This whole time I was thinking he was a tackle.
No.
So then,
they haven't replaced him yet.
Get rid of 2 tackles and get 2 guards.
Yeah, exactly. So, other than that, though, that's pretty much sums it up. So, we also came up with pretty much our free agent champs at this point.
Yeah.
Who has had the best free agents. And for me, it was, I didn't want to give it to the Bucs because the Bucs didn't necessarily re-sign, or they didn't sign anybody that really wasn't a part of their team already, but they made a bunch of huge re-signs. And so that would have put them into my contention, but I just strayed away from that, and I kind of put it towards more who made the best signings and made their team better from what it was last year. The Bucs were the Super Bowl champs.
Yeah.
So, all they did was just put back together the Super Bowl team.
That's still extremely hard.
Of course, and you have to give them a lot of credit for doing so. But in my eyes, the 2 teams that stood out to me was, one, the Jets. I don't think there was a bad signing that I disliked there from the Jets. Davis, you got Jared Davis as well, in addition to Corey. There was a lot of really good signings. They retained Marcus May with the franchise tag. And then the Cardinals. You sign JJ, you sign AJ Green, you trade for Rodney Hudson. All those moves seemed very good to me. I like them all. I like what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree.
But if I had to choose, I will say this, sorry, don't mean to interrupt you there, but if I had to choose one, I'm going to rock with the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals have had the best offseason so far in my eyes.
In my eyes, if we're going to stray away from the Bucs and not go with the Bucs, I'm going to go with Washington football team.
Yeah, a lot of people that I've talked to have said the same thing.
Dude, like
very under the radar, very good.
They've made great decisions. I'm not upset with. I'm not upset. I love every pick that they got, honestly.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're gonna they might win the division.
I'd say so. And then if we had to go with free agency losers, I'm choosing the Patriots. I've said it so many times during this episode. I don't like their moves. I choose the Patriots.
I liked their moves, but not how much they paid. I like the players they got, and I see what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
But if I had to go with the loser, it'd be the Patriots just because of how much they did pay for all of them. If they could have gotten these dudes on cheaper deals, then they would have been one of my champs.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that too, and I just think there was just better players they could have gotten for much less. So aside from that, expectations going forward with the rest of free agency, obviously there's a lot of big players left. You got Galladay and so forth.
Number one.
I'm very curious to see where he goes. I think he does end up with like a team that's very obscure that pays him a lot of money, big market. So I'm thinking the Giants. I think that's literally where he will end up. Not the best fit for him by any means in my eyes, but I think he ends up there just simply for the fact he's going to get the most money.
He's going to get paid.
He's going to get a big market, and he can really sell himself too. So I like that altogether. So that was my prediction as far as that goes. The rest of it, I don't know. It's kind of a mystery because I don't know how these teams are going to play it. The Dolphins, been very reserved. The Patriots have been very aggressive. Just not things we see all the time. Been very interesting offseason to say the least. And before we close it out here, we got to bring up what happened with Deshaun Watson. Allegation after allegation against him. And by the day, here's the thing. It's never okay to do what he's accused of doing.
Yeah, of course not.
It's disgusting. It's vulgar. But the problem I have is we see it every now and again where these athletes, are painted to be these monsters, essentially, that they're doing all these disgusting things. And some of them are true. And those players are, exiled from the league and exonerated. Like, all that stuff. They get charged, and it's over. But you got really good guys and good people. Because, again, I don't know Deshaun Watson personally.
But seems like...
But not even just that. If you ask anybody who knows Deshaun Watson, the things that they are accusing him of doing are just so far off from who he is and what his mindset is. And then it's hilarious to me because the lawyer or the public, whatever it is, it was an attorney. The cases that they filed against him, they're so flimsy at this point, and there's no grounds for any of this stuff. Like, they posted messages from Deshaun Watson back and forth. First off, there was nothing wrong with those messages.
None.
And then in the second message, it was Deshaun Watson apologizing if the person felt uncomfortable. Yeah. But the funny thing about that message was it was an iMessage. Deshaun Watson doesn't own an iPhone. He uses an Android. So they fabricated messages. Just by the day, it's seeming increasingly.
I'm hearing more allegations too as it goes on, and it's like
it's like a witch hunt at this point. I hate it because they're just making this into a bad look for Deshaun Watson. And then there's all these rumors and whatever that maybe the GM is connected to all this. Which is, I don't know. I wouldn't want to delve into conspiracy theories because that's wrong in a case like this. But I just, what I mean? I can't say whether or not he's guilty, but you're innocent until proven guilty with our legal system. And there's no reason that Deshaun Watson should be painted a picture like this if he's not guilty. Yeah. If he's not guilty. Yeah. Which I don't believe he is.
I don't either.
But that'll wrap it up for today's show, obviously. Next week, we'll finish out pretty much the rest of free agency and how that looks and how that goes, because we're getting near into the close. It doesn't last forever.
And we'll slowly start to get into our draft.
And like I said, Matt is holding on. He's been holding on for a month at this point with one of the hottest takes of the year.
I just want to say it already.
No, save it. It's terrible, though. It's one of the worst takes I've ever heard. But signing off, I'm Dobbs.
And I'm Matthew.
And this has been Inside the Pylon.